Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. It's the Denver Bronco Roundup. Thanks, everyone, all you Denver Bronco fans, jumping in here, spending a little bit of time with us this evening. A little bit later, trying to get all three of us on the screen for you because we want to bring you the best content possible and want to get all your questions and comments answered. And man, I'm just excited, guys. It's exciting time. You know, it's just right around the corner.
Yeah, a lot of news is happening even this past couple days. That's,
Like a couple days have been packed,
hmm
and training camp's just around the corner, man. I can start to feel the excitement, man. I'm getting there, man. It's seems like it's funny. I was thinking about this just the other day because I think we're all just a little bit spoiled. We got one of the largest amounts spent in free agency. We go out and get the cream of the crop head coach. And when we get to this time of the year, we're like, geez, wish something was going on. Wish we had something going on, man. It's just time for something to be happening. Think about all these other teams that had pretty much the stale roster with the stale coach. And, man, they're out there. They have nothing to talk about, man. Broncos fans, we have plenty to talk about, including turning around last year's season and getting started off on the right foot this season. That includes training camp right around the corner. So, welcome, Albert. Welcome, Jody. I know that was a big intro. How are you guys doing this evening?
I'm doing great. It's a good day here and busy with work, so I don't have to be bored there. So it's very well.
Doing doing great. Training camp's what? 2 days away. Can't wait.
Man, can't wait. Can't wait.
The redemption story starts.
I'm excited, guys. As you know, I've been kind of on the waiver. Today was my last day to cancel my plans. I pretty much got all thumbs up across the board. So looks like I'm going to be down there for about first 4 or 5 days of training camp. I've only been to one before. That was last year. That was under Nathaniel Hackett. I had zero expectations on what a training camp should look like. You know, rules have changed. Things are supposed to be a lot lighter, a lot softer. Certainly a lot lighter and softer than I was expected to play and practice under leading up to when I played football games. So um, it'll still be very, very interesting to see a Sean Payton training camp versus a Nathaniel Hackett. I'm so stoked. So want to get to a few people. Michael Ronquillo is jumping in here saying, good evening, Keith, Jody, and Albert. Well, good evening to you, Michael. Appreciate you jumping in here, buddy. This is a guy that's on top of not only on top of every single piece of Broncos news. I mean, this guy, he's on top of everything. If anybody's a friend with Michael, he's got WWE breaking news, you name it, man. He's on top of it. And then this guy seems to be on every Broncos podcast I can think of on top of all that. So, Michael, thank you for taking a little bit of your time and spending it with us, man. Appreciate it a ton. So, I do want to get to a bunch of comments, and I'll be honest, guys, we'll have to jump in, see if I can get any of these guys to load, because I am getting a lot of Facebook user, just the way that you guys come in. Don't feel bad, but it looks like we got Michelle Knoppers is the first one I think I see in here, saying yes. Michelle saying, sweet evening, gents. How in the world are you? I'm doing fantastic. Looks like Albert's doing fantastic. We're going to find out about Jody, see if he's doing pretty. He's been kind of quiet there in the background. We'll get to him. And then Joseph Guzman. Wow, Joseph, good to hear from you. He says, DBR, how the heck are you? I'm doing fantastic. Even better now that I see you in here, Joseph. So, Jody, how you doing, buddy?
Fired up. Can't wait for training camp. 2 days away. The redemption story starts. All the haters, they're going to get proven wrong. I've been saying it for a while, and I can't wait.
Can't wait. Can't wait. And one of the things that a lot of people were thinking, can't wait, was something that we finally got today, guys. And I wanted to figure we might as well just hit it right off the bat. Alternate uniforms, alternate icy uniforms. So it's supposed to be representing those icy topped Rocky Mountain peaks of Colorado. We get the all white helmet. We get the throwback logo and some striping that I guess you could say accentuates it. What was your reaction when you saw him come out? Start with you, Jody.
Oh, I love them. I always love the old school Denver Broncos logo. They look really cool on the white helmet. And I like that they're not going with the white on white. I like that they're mixing it up with the orange.
Mm.
I just think it's a good look.
Figured I'd rock that old school logo since it's gone on its way back now, I guess, now too. Albert, what were your thoughts, man?
I really like the new helmet. It's a great showpiece, and I think it will look really good, and especially when you get the smudges on it from the Chiefs or the Raiders.
Yes, yes. People have said, we only won Super Bowls with the logo that Jody's rocking there, but there's something about seeing that old school logo come back, man, and just being that, I don't know, the pride that we had in those teams too. Man, it's where I grew up. I mean, really became a fan 83, 84ish. So man, that old school logo is what I fell in love with, what I knew, what I rocked every day on Sunday. And to be honest, if it was up to me, probably about 7 days a week back then. So, yeah, I love the look. That white look is fantastic. It's just a little bit more up to date, even though we're bringing back an old logo. So good
Yeah.
luck all the way around. So
I wish they would have mixed it up, the new and the old, the letter D and then the new logo in there. That would have been great.
Albert's like a little mashup. I like it. I like it. Well, it does seem like pointing in a way to maybe getting back to the old logo in general. If we were going to be heading that way, I mean, that's my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think, but obviously we got Michelle coming in here too, just getting caught up, saying the new white helmets are fantastic. And then we got the fantastic Kurt Valente saying, "What's up, boys?" Should have known just from that opening. What's up, boys? Love the new helmet, and I agree, man. It's fantastic, fantastic. I was I'll be honest. I was hoping they were going to add some new element. I thought when they were talking about Rocky Mountains and giving these hints towards that, I thought mountains were going to be somehow involved in the design. So that's the only thing for me. So anyway, let's see.
White like the snow on the Rocky Mountains.
What's that? White like white like the snow, man. They're fully covered. There's no hint of mountain in there. They are fully packed full of snow. Michelle saying, freaking-tastic. They'll look amazing with the orange unis. David Slade coming in here and saying, Kenny, Kurt, how are you gents doing? Yeah, a little catch-up happening in the chat. Like to see that. So what's up, Dave? Excited for camp coming in from Kurt. Coming right back, just like us, guys. So no, it's nice. It's nice to have something different. The Color Rush uniforms have been out for quite a while. It was nice to finally get an alternate that we can be excited about, and the Broncos can be excited about some jersey sales and some sales through their NFL shop. So sparks us up a little bit and gets us excited as well. So it will be kind of cool to have maybe we'll have a whiteout game. That would be really cool. Have everyone wear white to the game. We're wearing the white helmets. It's white all the way through the stands. That'd be super sweet. So, anything more on jerseys, guys?
Nope.
A big nod. No, that's all good, guys. This is an audio format as well as a visual format. So keep that in mind, gentlemen. All right. Let's just get caught up on some news, and unfortunately, like Albert alluded to at the very top, some news all the way across the board. Some great, like our new designs that we have, and our new helmets, and our new uniforms. But on the other side of things, we also have Eyioma Uwazurike, one of the few players that have gotten that indefinite suspension handed down from the NFL. And the reason they typically give that is the reason he got it. Betting on an NFL game, that gets him out of the league until further notice. So, gentlemen, this is a defensive line. As we had been breaking down the defense for the last few weeks now, that we already pointed out, did not have a whole lot of depth. We weren't really sure exactly how this group would step up, and now we have Eyioma Uwazurike, making a blunder. There's nothing else that I can say outside of that. There's a lot of gambling I can handle, but when you're betting on an NFL game, you know better at that point. Let's just put it that way. That's my opinion. You shouldn't have to be told twice. So, Jody, where do we go from here? I'm going to start with you.
It is a bummer. I think he was going to be a definite role player in the rotation. I think they've got a couple guys that I think they're going to hope step up. Tyler Lancaster, one. The big guy that from overseas, his name's escaping me.
Couldn't pronounce it even if you brought it up, buddy.
This probably gives Jonathan Harris new life again. I don't know if he was going to make this roster. This gives him new life. And I think they might go out and look for someone on the cheap again. Michael Brockers and Dominican Sue's out there. Someone like that, maybe.
Really quick before I go to Albert, do you think this ends up costing another roster spot for somebody else, trying to either make room from a money perspective to bring in somebody to fill? I mean, we were already talking about maybe a lot of people were talking about maybe adding to that defensive line as it was, looking for names, scouting for names, watching, practice squads and cut lines and seeing if there's somebody out there that we could add. Now seems like we're even in a bigger need. Do we end up losing another player in order to fill this spot, do you think?
No, I don't think so, because whoever you sign now will probably be getting on a vet minimum.
Okay, very good.
Maybe high incentives or something. The one that really worries me more is Mike Purcell, why he's on the non-injury list or non-contact injury list. I mean, I've heard different reports from rotational guy to starting in the middle with DJ Jones outside. He definitely was going to be a role player on this team, and him not starting training camp, that's, to me, more of a blow. Yeah. I think he was going to be more of an impactful player.
That's fair. Albert, the Dutchie, what were your thoughts as obviously the suspension came down, and then what's the outcome of that? How are we going to recover from this?
Right now, I don't think it is a loss of a roster spot. Uwazurike is already gone from the roster for the year, so that is not really a loss. And I think we will see, and this was talked about this morning too at Broncos for Breakfast. This morning, by Scott, he said, well, they might have two instead of two. They might have three defensive players by September 1st, when the big cuts are going to be made. And I predict 4 players will be added, and I think we will pick up probably another center as well. So I don't think it is a big deal. Like Jody said, veteran minimums. So I think we will get to some guys that are on par with Uwazurike or even better for a minimum. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. I mean, from a baseball perspective, you're always looking to your farm system. You want to be able to bring these guys in. You want them to be young, that you want them to be under contract and be playing for you at that point. Obviously it's possible. You look at the Rams, and they went out and they got a lot of free agents and they put together a Super Bowl team, but we also saw how tough it is to sustain that, so I was excited about Uwazurike, him and Henningsen really kind of battling it out, for that interior, and for these guys to possibly be a staple for the Denver Broncos defense for, a few years to come. You go out and get Dominican Sue, it's more than likely a 1-year deal,
or Shelby Harris.
Yeah, Shelby Harris. I maybe I just read too much into it, but the way he left and the comments that he left with once he got into Seattle, he was not a happy camper, or with the way things shook out. It'd take a little bit of eating some crow to come back in the facility. but at the same time, he's out there and he's available.
and if he is not playing, he's not making money.
Correct. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's just a matter of
Priorities.
needs and priorities and all those other things put together. So I wouldn't be object to it. Jody, what are your thoughts on bringing back a Shelby Harris into the fold?
I'm the same with you. I mean, he didn't mince words when he left, how he was upset. Didn't like that he was a part of that trade. Didn't like how he found out that he was a part of the trade. And was pretty blunt with it. I mean, he's been out there for a while. We were thin before this happened today, so if we wanted him, we could have had him. I just don't think that that's someone Denver wants back in this locker room.
That's fair. I mean, obviously, put in a little bit different position, and we are, rocking some low depth across that defensive line.
I have
we will be making some additions. That's for sure.
One other thing, real quick. I heard a take today that this just piles onto the Russell Wilson trade because Uwazurike was a part of it. So now it looks like you basically get Russell Wilson for all what you gave up. I think that's a garbage take. I'm not for that. That's just more piling on Russ, and it's just I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I heard that take today, and I'm not really on that bandwagon.
But here's the thing. I don't even blame it on Russ. It is the management who made the deal and not Russ.
I'm going to take the other side of the coin, guys. If you look at it and, you look at the guys who we traded for and we sent up to Seattle, what we got in return, what they got in return. As of right now, it's Seattle versus a bunch of guys that, really didn't hold a whole lot of value. Whether even you look at Uwazurike now having issues, regardless, he was still competing in order to be a backup guy across the defensive line. It's not like he was setting the world on fire. You look at a Shelby Harris who's still out on the street. You look at a Noah Fant who looks like he might be being somewhat passed over as far as big target guy in Seattle's offense. There's not a whole lot that was of value, and we paid pretty steeply for it, I guess you could say.
I'll go down this rabbit hole then.
Okay.
Okay. Shelby Harris is out there if you wanted him. So you could say you gave up nothing. If you wanted him back, you could have him. He was part of the trade, so that's gone. If you keep Noah Fant, you don't have Greg Dulcich, and I'll take Greg Dulcich. That was your boy. I'll take him all day over Noah Fant.
That's fine.
So do you want Russell Wilson or do you want a right tackle? That's basically what you go right tackle. Who do you want?
I think they got a little bit.
I'll take Mike McGlinchey. You don't have Mike McGlinchey?
I believe they got a corner. They got a tackle.
They got a corner and a tackle. Or do you want Russell Wilson? The name of the game is quarterback, and if
you want to go down that rabbit hole, I'm going to scroll right back up to this comment because I agree with David Slade. It's time for him to earn some money then. It's time for him to earn some money because what we saw last year, I don't know. I might take a right tackle.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the going rate for a quarterback. Justin Herbert just got paid huge and has won 0 playoff games.
Okay.
0.
Is he at the big? Would you say he's more towards the beginning of his career or more towards the end of his career?
Who, Russell?
Herbert first. Herbert will go for Herbert first, and then we can.
Well, he's at the beginning of his career, but
and Russ
3 years into Russell's career, he was winning rings. Herbert doesn't win playoff games.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll have to save this debate for another day because this wasn't supposed to be about Russ, but I wouldn't necessarily say that Russ was winning rings. Russ was on a team that was winning rings. I'll give you that. Boy, I'm gonna end up. You're gonna end up making me look like the worst Denver Bronco fan ever, Jody. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Someone tried to drag me down this rabbit hole earlier, and But I've said from the beginning, and I've even like going back to Jimmy G. I'll take a Jimmy G, somebody that wins games, over someone that pads stats and whatever. Until you win, that doesn't matter. It's just like, and be unbiased. Why do you put Elway better than Marino? The stats don't bear that out because in the end, Elway won and Marino didn't.
And that's fine.
To me, that's really a tiebreaker, winning.
Okay, last point I'm going to make. The Chargers lost the opportunity to go to the playoffs by being up 28-0 against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Justin Herbert could have done on defense, but maybe he should have went out there because that's what lost him that game, not the offensive side of the ball. And that's been
but he did nothing the second half.
Crux. That's the crux of what we've seen with Justin Herbert's career. Whew. Well, man, you're getting all the love here from Kurt. Stats are meaningless. It's all about winning. So, he's on your side. Well, that's good, man. We didn't do a whole lot of winning last year, buddy. So it's time to saddle up. It's time to, as David Slade said, for Russ to earn his money. All right, I'm going to move along, and that's a stat, by the way, 19 and 15 over the last 2 years. That's a team stat, not a Herbert stat. I don't believe that Herbert is allowed to win any games by himself.
How many playoff wins?
Well, you have to get there. You have to have a coach that doesn't go for it on fourth down like more than any other coach ever. You have to have a coaching system that doesn't give up 28-0 leads. There's a lot that goes in. Statistically speaking, he throws for some of the highest yardage amounts, for some of the most touchdowns. I don't know what else the guy can do. He doesn't take a ton of sacks. He doesn't fumble it all the time. It's there's only so much. I guarantee most of you guys out there maybe naysaying Herbert would absolutely would have taken him on your team if he wouldn't have passed on the draft and went back one more year so he avoided us.
And here's the thing. Herbert also has the support of the coaches. Last year, we did not have a coach that could be supportive of the team. If that was the case, then he would have reined in Russell Wilson, and that is what is getting done right now. So I don't blame everything on Russell. What happened last year, it was part of the coaching. It was part of the O-line. The entire team on the offensive side was part of it. And everybody's blaming Russ, but I don't see that. And I think this year it will turn around.
It's all going to start in just a couple days, guys. All going to... I agree, Dave. No blame on Russ.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
But it just can't all be on Russ.
But this rabbit hole that I was down earlier was no blame on Herbert because Keenan Allen misses 40% of the games. Austin Eckler's a gimmick running back. All these excuses, bad coaching. Well, Denver was missing Javonte Williams 90% of the games last year, whatever. Tim Patrick 100% of the games last year. I'll take 10 out of 10 over, and I don't even like him, over Nathaniel Hackett. So you got to put some blame on him too.
No, hey, every player that takes the field needs to take a little bit of blame.
But I blame...
You watch even our defense as they were being interviewed last year, and they were coming off where they played great games, but they were saying, you know what, I could have played better. If we could have played a little bit better, we could have got that much. We could have got that win. That's just as much on me as it is on anybody on the other side of the ball. So yeah, you're right. Everyone's got to take a little bit of blame. So
I get labeled as a Russ apologist. But Russ came in overweight. That's on Russ. Russ was handed the keys and was allowed to do whatever he wanted. That's on Russ. That's on Hackett or whoever allowed that. But Russ tried to do something that he has never done in his whole career and failed at it. That's on Russ.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see when they had leadership the last 2 games against 2 playoff teams, Russ turned it around, started doing what he does again. And so that's where I'm at with and Peyton will come in and he will make Russ do things. He will get the best out of Russ. Hackett wanted to be your buddy, and that's it. So I put blame on Russ.
Good. He deserves a lot of blame. No, not a lot of blame, but he deserves some blame as well. The only reason I wanted to cut it short like that, I figured that would stop everybody in their tracks. We need to move to the next subject at hand.
It's all good.
Before we move to those couple of subjects at hand, I just want to point out a few people that have already been in our chat, and they're important people. First off, the fantastic David Slade. If you guys don't know, David Slade is the owner of Willow Seasonings and Blends. They're our fantastic sponsor for the Denver Bronco Roundup. And they have the most fantastic seasonings, sauces, and spices you'll ever have. It's summertime, guys. Barbecue is cooking. It's time to head over to Willow Seasonings and Blends. Go over to willowseasonings.com. If you want, well, there's a couple things going on. I know they have a huge clearance sale going on, guys, right now. Take advantage of it. They have $7, I believe, on their rubs, $9 on their sauces. This promo code you see on the screen does not work. The reason being is because that would give you an additional 15% off. Amazing, fantastic prices. It's not going to happen, guys. $7 for rubs, $9 for sauces. This is award-winning, fantastic product, guys. I wouldn't steer you wrong. It's some of the best out there. I use it in anything from my breakfast omelets to my burgers and my steaks at night, and just about everything in between. My wife even laughed at me as I sprinkled it on some popcorn one time because that came as a hint for me too. It was fantastic, guys. So check out willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com. Go over there right now. Get yourself some sauces and some seasonings. Maybe keep that DBR 2023 in the back of your mind. That's a year-long promo code, guys. So once this clearance sale goes away, that's the way to do it, man. Get yourself that second batch, that second order. Make sure you get 15% off. Use it then. But head over to willowseasonings.com right now. Get your sauces and seasonings for, hey, it's summer barbecue season. It's time of year. Get it out there. Get it on your grub, buddy.
Yep.
Spice up your life. Other ones I just wanted to point out, the fantastic Kurt Valente and Kenny Kirkpatrick. They've already been jumping in here. They actually run a fantastic little podcast, East Coast podcast, cover all your sports. And that's NHL, NBA, NFL, and a little Major League Baseball, too. So check them out over there at KK Sports Show. Fantastic stuff. And they're coming up with new shows, new content all the time. Really getting specified. They had just a all Yankees show the other day. They had an all Broncos show the other day because they have a big Broncos fan over there. So check out the KK Sports Show. You'll love it. Absolutely love it. Love the KK Sports Show. Guys are great and very interactive as well. So check those guys out. All right, guys. We have delayed long enough. We're already like a half an hour in. Haven't even talked really about our main topics because we got to round up our breakdown of every single position group. And we've got kind of an all-in-one package today, guys. It's kind of a big all-in-one package, but it's the one starting off, I feel the most confident in. As we've went through, running backs and quarterbacks and offensive linemen and defensive linemen and edge rushers and linebacker, everything. We finally get to the secondary, cornerbacks and safeties. And boy, like I said, talk about finally turning a page and going, okay, take them to town, boys. This is the group right here. Albert, I'll start with you. What do you love about our secondary? And then we'll go around to Jody.
I believe that our secondary can be in the top 5 of the NFL. We have that much talent on the roster. Mathis can be, if he steps up a little bit more, he will be one heck of a player. We already have to me, the number 1 cornerback of the NFL, and then our safeties. Let's not forget Caden Stearns. He is going to be great if he can stay healthy and get a hip taken care of. He will be amazing. And then we already have number 1 of number 31. He is top 5 safety, I would say.
Ring of
and
Famer.
Ring of Famer, probably in Hall of Famer. He might
Gonna
be in
push
Hall of
for it.
Fame. And then Kareem Jackson. I think Kareem Jackson, he should have more of a leading role. Be the smart guy, teach the young kids, especially that new kid that we have, Skinner, because that looks like to be, even although he's only 195 pounds, I believe,
Yeah,
but
he's
I
a light
think
guy.
if he's going to be a hard hitter like Jackson, I really see a bright future for this young upcoming group.
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I think they're elite. I think they're fantastic. Jody, give us your thoughts, man. You can kind of go through this roster kind of like Albert did as well, and just give me your initial thoughts.
Not much to say about PS2. Top 1, 2, 3 cornerback in the league, all pro. Lockdown corner. Just expecting more big things from him going into his third season. On the other side, Davari Mathis started off a little rough last year, but improved down the stretch. And I think this scheme is going to fit him, especially with Vance Joseph as DC, more of a man type guy. That's what he played at Pitt, and I think he's in for a big season. And then probably a top 1 or 2 slot cornerback in K'Wan Williams. He gets overlooked a lot, but I mean, great slot corner. And then safeties, another All-Pro and Justin Simmons led the NFL last year in interceptions. And then the other safety position, I think that's going to be a battle. You got the incumbent Kareem Jackson back. You got 2 guys, PJ Locke and Kane Stearns, who want that job. You got JL Skinner, who was drafted. Good news on him. He didn't start the season on PUP. So the Peck must be doing pretty good. Other guys on this team drafted Riley Moss. Excited about that. I would say you probably keep in 5 corners. Riley Moss being the 4th, and then it's going to be a battle with the same Basby, Jaquan McMillan, Smith for that last spot. And then they're going to have a tough decision what 4 safeties you keep. If I was going to have to guess now, the surprise for me, I think you could see a Kareem Jackson being like a TJ Ward from 2016. You got all these young guys that, one, are going to play special teams. Kareem Jackson won't. You just drafted JL Skinner. Do you risk trying to get him on practice squad? Do you risk Caden Stearns? From the glimpses we've seen, he's been the guy that's been penciled in there to replace Jackson. And then PJ Locke, he's just been good enough not to cut. So that, to me, is going to be the toughest one of them all. What 4 safeties you keep?
Yeah, I'm going to hit that in just a second. First, I just want to say hello to Clayton. Clayton just comes in just right off the bat, gives us a big evening, guys, and then gives us all the support saying, smash that like button and share, guys. And thank you, Clayton. I appreciate that, man. Big love going right back at you, and especially for this one, because Clayton says, big milestone today, 1 year sober, many more to come. Let's go. Man,
Congrats.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Clayton. I'm proud of you, man. That's not an easy track to go down. I'm proud of you. You keep up the good work, buddy. If you ever need any support, man, reach out, man. Glad to hear it, and keep up the good fight, man. Let's go is fantastic. So he says, running with my guns again. We are running with my guns again. We were going to win 10 to 14 games. Man, I like that, buddy. That's some confidence. I like that 10 number probably a little bit better than that 14 number. But man, we'll take it, man. I'll take that 10. And Kenny's even coming in for the K&K show, telling you a little bit of congratulations as well, Clayton. So getting love all the way throughout the DVR fandom, I guess you could say, that all the DVR community, I guess you could say. That's a better way to put it. So Guys, the one thing I was going to say, I looked at last year's roster. The initial 53 held six corners and five safeties. If that's the case, then a lot of your battles might be a little bit easier. Do you think they're just carrying more in other places? Do you think you subtracted one from each of those columns, Jody? So I guess give me a little bit of thought process behind that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think so, especially if with Browning's injury, what you're going to do at D line, you might have to carry an extra guy just for rotation there. If Purcell makes this roster, maybe he's on a definite pitch count. So there's a couple positions right there that I can see extra guys just because. And if you're going to leave Pat Surtain and Mathis on the field most of the time, you really don't need some of those other guys. I think you might be able to stash on practice squad.
Fair enough. That kind of gets me almost to the question I was going to pose to Albert. If you were going to add at least one more to either the cornerback or the safety room from what Jody predicted, I believe 5 and 4, correct? 5 safeties,
Yeah.
5 corners, 4 safeties. Which room would we be adding to, Albert? And if there was a name that you would like to make sure made the roster at the bottom end, who would it be?
So with the safeties, yeah, of course it is Simmons. Definitely Caden Stearns.
Yeah, safety. Okay, I got you. So we want to go through the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
And then Locke. I would do something different with K-Jack. I would hire him in a coaching position.
If you can get him to do that, very good.
And then have the Skinner
come be your fourth. Okay.
And so Simmons, Stearns, Stearns, yeah.
Simmons, Stearns, PJ Locke, Skinner.
I have a question with those. Yeah. So you said those 4. If you keep Williams, how make or break is it he doesn't play special teams when that's been a huge emphasis? And what if you're keeping him and he doesn't win a starting spot on this team? So say he gets beat out by Stearns or Locke or somebody. Are you keeping a roster spot just for depth or just for veteran leadership? Or
talking Craig Jackson?
Correct. What's his role if he doesn't win a starting spot? I mean, he doesn't play special teams, so that's one less guy there.
I would make K-Jack as a safety coach.
But let's say he says no and he just walks away, though.
Then no harm done, no foul done. Because K-Jack
But would you keep him on the roster, though?
No.
But I mean, if he doesn't win a starting spot, are you keeping him on the roster for veteran leadership?
No.
And risking or giving up a special teams spot because those other guys are going to play special teams.
No, I would not keep him on the roster. Then I would let him go. He doesn't earn that much of a money, so it's not too big of a deal. No, I would not keep him on the roster. He is a liability. He doesn't have the speed anymore. The only thing that he can do is run up the field, and that's it.
I mean, so if he doesn't win a starting spot, so he's got a lot of pressure on.
Yep.
Either win a starting spot or
absolutely
you might not make this roster.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. That's a good take, Jody. And especially with the contract that he signed, where it's low dollar, it's easy to move on from, it's very incentive laden, it means a lot for Kareem Jackson if he wants to continue to play especially for the Denver Broncos, for, like you said, for him to go out and get that starting spot. Because if he doesn't get that starting spot, I don't think he does stay on this roster. And then he's just out there waiting for opportunity, injury, bring in somebody that can fit already into the system, you know what I mean?
Or give the guys a break for a moment.
Yeah, maybe it could be an addition to a playoff team going down the stretch again, if you feel like you're a little bit light in that safety room and you want to add something, you could always end up doing something like that. Safety isn't as stressful as a position from a needing a break as some of the other ones, I think, but that's okay.
Because for me, there's PJ Locke, Stearns, or JL Skinner. If you release one of them, I don't see any one of those three making it where you can put them on their practice squad. Someone's going to scoop one of those guys up.
You think so?
Yep.
You
Yeah.
think both Locke and Stearns would both get scooped up?
Yep.
I think, yeah,
Hmm.
I do.
That's
I think all
interesting.
three would get scooped up. So
We have seen enough big plays from especially Stearns and Locke. Yeah, they will be picked up by other teams in a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah. There might be the possibility. I know that sometimes we can be a little inside our own bubble. You know what I mean? So sometimes we make larger the players that we know and we see that maybe a little bit more fringe to other people. I mean, I know that we're talking more fandom comparatively to NFL executives, but I just didn't know how much he would be registering on the national. Either one of those guys would be registering on the national scale in comparison. Neither one of them have been able to hit the field consistently.
Stearns, I think for sure, in the couple of starts when Jackson was out a couple of years ago, he made interceptions. I thought he played a tremendous game against Dallas a couple of years ago. He would be the one that would get scooped up right away, in my opinion.
Here's an example. Shaq Barrett. I was against letting Shaq Barrett go, and what happened?
Well, everyone knew Shaq Barrett was by a star, just waiting to get out from the shadows of Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. You know, we were just log jammed. We traded Shaq Barrett. We didn't, he just didn't, go out there and hope for a job. You know what I mean? But or get demoted down off to the practice squad and get scooped up by any stretch of the imagination. I would have known that Shaq Barrett. I just don't know. I don't know if KJ or PJ Locke and Caden Stearns, my goodness, can't speak all of a sudden, are that enticing to other teams. So it would be interesting. Maybe we see that play out. But I do agree with kind of what you were going at, Jody. I didn't think about it from the perspective of, some of the other roster needs we needed, maybe in comparison to 2022 and subtracting both a safety and a corner. I just looked at those rooms, and especially if we have 6 corners, it's easy to pick off the 6 and say, okay, that's easy. There you are. There's not a whole lot of competition at the bottom end. Maybe there's a guy or two that that is on the bottom end. They're going back and forth, and same thing in that safety room. But once you start cutting it back to 5 and to 4, there starts being some big boy decisions then. In that secondary. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. So.
See, and I know it hasn't been important around here the last couple of years, or it hadn't shown it on the field, special teams, and who he's went out and got as coaches and different things and what he's doing to address special teams. I think that if it's close, I think that's going to sway a lot of decisions. Is, do you play special teams? How good are you on special teams? I think that's really important. Yeah, I agree. Like what Dave said, leadership. I agree with that. It's not really a kickback. The only thing that I've said is Simmons has been here long enough. Why do you need Jackson's leadership? Why does no one ever bring up Simmons, who's an all-pro? What about his leadership?
Yeah, and if I could just interject, and I'll let you go off, Albert, but for me, I think our leadership is going to come a lot more from our coaching staff, and it's been showing out. I know that you need some on-field leadership, but I think it's going to be dictated, and there's going to be a couple of key guys that are going to repeat that message on the field. But go ahead, Albert.
Yeah, and that's what Simmons is not a person he is not a leader. He has not shown that in the locker room, and he doesn't show it really on the field. And that's where I think that if you want to put it on the coaching staff, make KJ a coach. He has the experience. He has the know-how. He already is a leader in the locker room. Make him a coach, safety coach.
You're like all about this, man. I'd love to find out that Kareem Jackson come out tomorrow and says I have no a desire to ever be a coach of any particular type in this league. You know, it just I understand.
I really hope so, because then he was listening to our show.
Oh, there you go, there you go. But you know what I mean? It's just like it's putting a lot of thought that that's exactly where he wants to be in his career. You know, right now, he doesn't want to step away and be with his kids for a year. Nothing like that. You know, we're just going to make him a coach. You know, that's a lot of assumptions, I guess you could say. You know, maybe it's a great idea, and I think that he does have the ability to. He's been a great kind of co-worker in the back end with Justin Simmons for years, and Justin Simmons has spoke nothing but glowingly about what Kareem Jackson has done for him. So I think there certainly is that ability. But, hey, it's going to – very few guys. I was just reading an article about a guy that I used to follow that was a former MSU Bobcat, and he went off and he was an offensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins, and he gave it up this year. He's like, it's just too much. He's like, it's crazy the grind. I had no idea what it was going to be like. So, it's a lot to ask just to be a coach sometimes, especially when you've been a player all your life. So
when you talk leadership on the field, if you get rid of K-Jack, I think, because I've heard, well, what if Drew Sanders comes in and impresses? Do you get rid of Jewel? I think one of those guys you are keeping if you are under the assumption that you need a true veteran leadership. I mean, he's probably your second longest tenured guy on the defense. I mean, so I think if veteran leadership is that important to some people, and I agree it is, then one of those guys is sticking around.
I would have to agree, man. I think all of a sudden, if K-Jack does go, Jewel becomes a little less dispensable on this team, just from a leadership standpoint. You need someone out there to lead the troops, to get them into place, to smack some heads together every now and then and rattle some cages and say, okay, guys, get it back together and get things in line. And that's I think Jewel and K-Jack are those guys. Excuse me. And I think it becomes very difficult after that to try to find somebody on this roster that you'd be like, man, thank goodness this guy's here. He's gonna set us all straight. Along those lines, I just had visions of K-Jack not being here, and for some reason Jewel having to go out for a game or two, and what that would look like, because it would be very similar, and that we'd be, kind of stuck in that issue. You know what I mean? I guess you could say. So
I just feel like that's a huge, and another thing, I feel like it's a huge thing. If you're not a special teams guy, you better be a solidified starter on this roster, or that could weigh you not making this team. You better want to, just like Albert O. Albert O has all the abilities, high speed, all this stuff, but he's never played special teams. And I think even if he improves his blocking, I think that could be a make or break. You don't play special teams.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Special teams, I think, is, and I guess that's the last subject we're going to kind of get to here as we kind of wrap it up, and we're going to get to a couple of questions in here too. I apologize, guys. I wish we had a fantastic producer like some of those other big shows do. Maybe someday soon. Because I know I've missed out on a ton of the comments that are coming in here. But I did want to, heck, if a guy's going to give us this much love, I wanted to scroll back up and get this one, because this one came early from Kenny and said, Kenny, the new helmets are as hot as the big three, Brugman, Moncrief, and Knoppers. Good evening, fellas, and good evening to you, buddy. Appreciate you a ton. So one of the questions that I wanted to get to, and I know I saw it here just a moment ago, right here, and I'm going to find out exactly who gave us this one. This was, and if anybody has it before me, feel free to shout it out, but we'll find
Kenny,
out.
I think, because it says Kenny right after that comment.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Kenny's in here, and he says, hey, guys, educate me. Who's taking over the kicking duties for McManus? And that brings us to our last little piece of this, and that's our special teams. Might as well start off with kickers. And we have a couple of names that have been brought into camp. Don't know if we have our final kicker, but we have Brett, and I've heard two different pronunciations, so I'll give you them both. Maher or Mar, former Cowboys, you may remember, kicker who had a fantastic season and then absolutely choked in the playoffs. And then Fry, and I forget the first name of Fry all of a sudden. Elliott Fry. I remember him with the Browns at least, and I believe he had a couple other stops as well. So that's our kind of our competition with Brett Maher, being the kind of leading candidate, I guess you could say. And Facebook user jumping in, that's Michael Ronquillo, and saying that they officially signed him. Yes, they did officially put pen to paper as of today, I believe. So, gentlemen, I always thought it was odd, and maybe it's just me, but I'll start off with Albert. Albert's had a little less screen time, I think. Albert, why did we let go of McManus, and why did we do it when we did it? Because I only have one good answer, and maybe we match up. We'll find out.
McManus was not a great last year. Maher, or whatever you want to call it, Brett. Let's call him Brett. He had in total he had better stats than, I don't know, stats don't say all of it, but he had a better results last year than McManus. And even although if you take that the one game out, the 4 missed field goals or whatever it was, extra points, yeah, then Brett is much better than McManus, and McManus is too much of a diva, and he thinks he can do it all. But last year, I don't think he was worth the money.
Fair enough. Not worth the money. A little bit of a diva. Maybe underperformed compared to the dollars that we were exchanging for him. Jody, why and how and why then? And it just seems like now we're struggling. We're bringing guys in. We didn't have a really good plan for kicker. Can you put a little bit of sense behind, the timing behind the McManus release?
Well, I think 2 reasons. One, money. He was making a lot of money for his on-field performance, and with the special teams being ranked dead last year, I think it was one of those things he wanted to watch a lot of these players and get that bad feeling out of here. I mean, last year he 28 for 36. So, he missed 8 field goals last year. Brett or however you say it, Brett missed 3 field goals last year. He gets a bad rap for that one playoff game that they still won, missing the 4 PATs. But other than that, he missed 3 PATs in the regular season and 3 field goals. But I think it was pretty much really a no-brainer. Money is what I think it really came down to.
I'm gonna get one of these days. We'll all get tinfoil hats for this part of the show. But my little tinfoil hat is Brandon McManus was the last guy from the Super Bowl 50 team, correct?
Yep,
correct.
And there's something to be said about turning the page. And sometimes they say, hey, you want to have these guys who have won in your locker room. But when it's the guys who have won from such a long time ago, there's something to be said about the old curmudgeonly guy and the diva type of guy in the corner who talks about the good old days, about how it used to be and how we used to do it and how winning we used to be. And there might have been just a little part of wanting to move on from that from a Sean Payton perspective, because as you guys have pointed out, he's got personality. He probably has more personality than just about any kicker out there. From showing up in referee outfits to training camp to, always pulling jokes and pranks and being that guy on the sideline that's all mad and throwing his helmet around because he's not getting an opportunity for big, long kicks. You don't see that a whole lot from kickers. So it might have just been a little bit of a turning of the page because of the personality, and because maybe that tie to the Super Bowl 50. That's my tinfoil hat. Take it off.
And,
You know, and
and
I'll agree. That's one thing you will not hear now is, well, that's not what we did when we won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
I mean, you will not hear that now.
And here's the other thing. How important is the kicker going to be with the new regulation of the kickoffs?
Kickoffs are great, but man, this is why I was just a little bit nervous, Albert. And I'll throw this right back to you. I mean, as maybe we talk about Russell Wilson earlier, right? Had a bad year last year. You know, Brandon McManus has been a pretty consistent kicker for the Denver Broncos 4 years. 4 years and years and years. And let me just finish this out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams, you see them, this constant rotation of kickers throughout the regular season, just trying to find one that can consistently put it through their uprights. And because of that, they're losing games because of a field goal or an extra point, and that's the reason they're trading that kicker a lot of times too, or changing out that kicker. I just didn't want the Broncos to be in a position where all of a sudden it seems like we get all the pieces and parts in place, and then we lose to the Chiefs because we couldn't kick the extra point, or we lose to the Chargers because we couldn't kick the extra point.
And we have lost some of the games because of a missed field goal, because of Brandon McManus.
Correct.
And
Last year was a bad year.
Yeah, and like I said, and with the new regulations that pretty much any ball within the 20-yard line is going to be a touchback.
25.
Pretty much. Yeah, so the importance there is already gone too. So it is only about kicking the extra points and the field goals. And if they do their job, then they will get them in the 40-yard line so that Maher, Brett, whatever you want to call him, BM.
We're calling him Big Bad Brett from now on. Big Bad Brett.
Big Bad Brett. He should be able to do that then. So yeah, I don't see a problem with this whole trade and McMahon been gone. I think for the team mentality, I think it might be a good thing.
Okay, I'm going to move on as we move over to Jody. When I went to ourlads.com, I just want to get to our punt returner and our kick returner, and I was kind of, I guess, maybe surprised, I guess you could say, at both of these. Listed as kick returner, Tremon Smith. Listed as our punt returner is Marvin Mims. Do you agree or disagree, Jody, with our lads as far as our starting kick returner and punt returner?
Yeah, I think Marvin Mims will definitely be returning one of the two. I think Montel Washington has got a lot to prove from last year to if he hopes to get that job back. He's one of the big reasons that we were last in return yards, and he was catching balls inside the 5. I know a lot of that's on coaching, but there's just a lot of bad things. He's got a lot to prove, and Marvin Mims was a second-round pick. He's going to be on this roster, and he can play wide receiver. We have not seen much of Montel Washington there, so I agree. The only other thing that I could see is Mims doing both punt return and kick return. But they might want to take some of that away if he's getting decent run at wide receiver. You don't want to gas him out. So
very true. Throw it over to Albert, man. Your thoughts? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, definitely sounds right to me. Mims is going to have definitely a spot on the roster, and this might is a foreboding for Washington not to be on the roster. If they're going to keep 6 wide receivers, then he might be there. But if they're only going to keep 5, because with the extended role that Dulcich is going to get, then they might just keep 5, and then I think Washington is done.
Along those lines, I can't remember Washington gone. Is Hamler around?
I think already that, and the same for Purcell. they put him on a non-football injury list. I
Oh,
think
yep.
that might be foreboding for them.
Very good. Uh, I guess lastly, kind of round it out, guys. Punter last year, I went actually back and saw saw the comment as the 53 was cut. Sam Martin was waived, ended up being picked up by the Buffalo Bills, and we went with Corliss Waitman. George Payton's quote: "We went with the better kicker. It had nothing to do with salary cap." Here we are a year later, and Corliss Waitman is not here as the better
Is
kicker.
unemployed.
He is unemployed,
Sam
and
Martin still has a job.
Sam Martin still has a job, and Riley Dixon, an original Bronco, has been brought back to do punter duties. So, do we have? I'll start with Albert on this one since I started with Jody. Albert, do we have it all figured out now? Do we have a punter maybe for 2 years in a row?
I liked Riley Dixon. He had at moments he had really good ball placements, and maybe the wind was with him or not. But yeah, when he played for us, I really liked him. So yeah, I have no problem with Riley Dixon.
Riley Dixon, maybe an answer for 2 years in a row at punter. How about you, Jody? You like the signing of Jody or of Riley Dixon? It'd be nice if we signed Jody Moncrief to the Broncos. I'd have an
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I like the signing. I mean, they can tell you whatever they wanted last year, but Waitman was the punter because of money, and it's another or more proof that special teams was not important. Spend a little more and get yourself a punter that can help flip fields and different things. From last year, and it was very obvious. It's very obvious this year that special teams is going to be important, both punter and new kicker. Field position is going to be important. So yeah, I think for what was out there. I think he knows this field. He's kicked here before. I think it's a good signing.
yeah.
And
Go ahead, Albert.
and now with the new offense, how much of a job does he get to do? Maybe one punt a game.
Let's hope. That's what we're wanting, Albert. That's exactly right. Maybe just one time we had to kick that ball, punt it in the air, and bring Riley Dixon on the field. That'd be fantastic. Do got to get to our latest comment, and like he said, kind of catching us on the back end, Chad Jensen from the Mile High Huddle. Thank you very much, Chad, for jumping in and being part of our show, man. I appreciate all of yours and appreciate you being here. Catching a little bit of us. It is at the tail end, so he's saying, sorry I missed the live stream, boys, but a great combo, and thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, and appreciate you being part of it, and I'd like to see your face. It's been a while, Chad. Good to see you. Gentlemen, we've wrapped it all up. We went through every single position group. We've now wrapped up the defense. We got our special teams. We went through kicker, punter, our returners. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting year. We're wrapping this up right before we're heading into training camp. I want to just get an idea before we get out of here. Albert, ideas, thoughts, what are you wanting to see? If you could be there, maybe, because I'll let the cat out of the bag. My plan is to most likely be there for the first 4 or 5 days of training camp, and then I got to get back home. What should I be looking for, buddy? What would you be looking for if you were there? And I want to get Jody's thoughts too. And anybody out there in the chat, what would you be looking for once you hit training camp if you were able to make it out there? And if you can make it out there, let me know. I'd love to see you guys out there.
The one thing that I was going to look for if I would go there is how the coaches interact with the players, how they regulate the field, how are they are on the field. Are they just joking around? Are they serious in what they're doing? Or that's what I would be looking at, because that tells me a little bit of their intentions.
Very good, man. How well the coaches are actually coaching. You know, how
Yeah.
much they're teaching while they're out there on the field, man. I like that, man. That's definitely something I'll keep an eye on. Michelle giving Chad a little bit of love and saying, great to see you, Chad. And also just getting us taken care of, saying, great show, Keith, Jody, and Albert. Jody, what if you were able to make it out there? Maybe we'll be able to meet up. I know that this is kind of last minute that I'm even letting you know, But if you were able to make it out there to training camp, what would you be looking for, bud?
No, there's 4 things I'm looking forward to.
I love it, man. I'm gonna have to
One, how
record
Russell
these.
Wilson plays. I think that's important. I think he's gonna impress. That would be one. Two, what kind of workload does Javonte Williams get? I mean, how is he full go? I think he's gonna be full go, but are they gonna push him hard? What are they gonna do with Javonte Williams?
Very good.
The center battle, I think that's gonna be. It's not talked about a lot. I mean, people say it's a weakness, and it's talked about a lot that way. But I mean, everyone's kind of said Cush is the incumbent; he's going to win this job. But I think that's going to be a 3-way battle with him and the rookie Forsythe and the center from Seattle who has
Fuller.
snapped for Fuller. Sorry, Kyle Fuller, who's snapped with Russ. And then how much different camp is from last year to this year. From a head coach that's done it and done it many times, where people who want to blame everything on it wasn't Hackett's fault, blah blah blah, and really see what a night and day training camp is, and see that there was more problems than just QB.
Agreed, man. I like every single one of your points, and there's a lot that obviously I'll be trying to take in as I'm only there for a few days. But as we kind of spoke right before I got on, and for those of you who don't know, I've made it. This will be my second training camp, and this will be my second training camp kind of in a row now. Hackett and the 2020 Denver Broncos was my first training camp. I had zero expectations, so what I saw is, what I thought was expected. To be able to go back to back, only go to 2 training camps ever in your lifetime, and to go from Hackett to Peyton should be very interesting. So that is one, just the overall feel, how things are ran, how things are going, how coaches are coaching, like Albert said, how a true professional runs a training camp, and how that looks and feels different. It'll be very, very interesting to find out. So, gentlemen, we've went our hour. I'll go back around the horn just for closing thoughts. If you have any particular sign-offs that you want to give to the Denver Bronco Roundup community, we'll start with Albert, buddy. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the training camp and see what it brings for us. I also wanted to give Kurt Valenti a great thumbs up with his show on last Sunday. That was amazing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see more of these shows, and see you all next week.
Next week for sure. Jody, how about you, buddy?
Football season is here. It's the best time of the year. Excited to see what Peyton can do, what kind of tweaks he has in store for Russ.
I think he froze a little.
Yeah, a little froze on Jody.
Get Russ back to when he was playing great. And when that happens, everything else will fall in place. Because when you have an elite quarterback, you can have a crappy roster like Kansas City and win Super Bowls. So
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited for, how Russ and Peyton mesh up. And that's what I'm most excited for these next couple of weeks.
I agree, man. To see how this partnership links up, to see how that kind of plays out a little bit firsthand, and then from there kind of have to rely on what reports I can get from there. But until
Now, one thing I am not
this is a
looking
game.
forward to is Russ throws an interception, bench him, put Stidham in. I'm not really looking forward to the constant just nitpicking of Russell Wilson. I am not, because I expect some growing pains early, but I think Russ put the time in OTAs to where I think a lot of that's going to be behind him. And if you have never seen somebody motivated, Russ is a perfect example if you want to see what somebody motivated looks like.
Well, talk about QBs. We only have 2 left. One of them has been let go today.
Yeah, Guarantarno, if I'm saying that correctly, was let go. Yeah, we are down to 2 now. So it just Stidham and Wilson, with Wilson, of course, sitting on top.
Well, Ben
Mike,
DiNucci's still here, isn't he?
Yep.
oh, that's right, that's right. So we do have 3, not 4. So
And Michael is looking forward to seeing who our backup players will be.
yeah, I was just about ready to hit that. Michael jumping in, Facebook saying I'm looking forward to seeing who our backup Broncos players will be after our starting players are set. Yeah, it's funny. I jump on a few different pods, and everyone, it seems like, wants to predict like the most likely outcomes, right? The most likely people in the most likely positions on the most likely roster. You know what I mean? It doesn't work out that way. There's always a guy that rises up, that surprises. A guy that's let go. You never know who that's going to be. So I agree with you, Michael. There's always those guys that start showing out in training camp, and by the time you get through those preseason games, lo and behold, the 53-man roster comes out, and some guy that you didn't expect is holding a different spot, and inevitably that means one guy is kicked out that we didn't expect was going to be there. So, great point, Michael. I just wanted to give a big thanks to everybody that jumped in the show tonight. So from David Slade, our great sponsor as well, to Kenny and Kurt over the K&K Sports Show. We had Michael Ronquillo, of course. We had Clayton that was in here. We had Roy Osborne in here watching a little bit earlier. Of course, the great Michelle Knoppers, who's with us every single week. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I'm sure I'm forgetting or missing
Chad
a name.
Jensen.
Chad Jensen. How do I forget Chad Jensen? Yeah, Chad Jensen jumping in as well. So, I really appreciate it, guys. If you can't tell, I'm right near a road that, exhaust can be a little bit loud. So, sorry about that, guys. No, I appreciate every single person jumping in here, being a part of our show. As much as I love the Denver Broncos, it's all about sharing it with all of you guys out there, your questions, your comments, joining in this fandom that is the Denver Broncos country. And it's the reason I want to go down to training camp, not just for me, but for every single one of you guys. If I can relay just a couple of nuggets out of there, man, I'm a happy guy. So I guess look forward. Last year I was trying to do a daily training camp video, just a little bit of recap. So watch for that on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and the Denver Bronco Roundup. And as we get out of here, that's a perfect way to end it, guys. If you guys didn't know, we already talked about our fantastic sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. But don't forget about the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. It's who we're brought to you by. It's who we're produced by. It's who brings you the show each and every single week. Rocky Mountain Sports Network is a website. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube. You can find them on Twitter. All these different platforms. I'm sure Threads and X and everything else that are coming out. I can't even keep track anymore. But I can tell you, if you go over to Facebook right now, go into the groups, type in Rocky Mountain Sports Network. You'll find them there. If you do go on to the World Wide Web, get you on your dial-up AOL, head on over to RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. And either one of those places, you're either going to get all the articles that go across all your Colorado Rockies, or Colorado sports, including Rockies and Nuggets and Avalanche and Broncos, or you're going to get the links to them right through Facebook as well. Check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Again, that's who brings you the Denver Bronco Roundup every single week. Guys, got to get out of here, man. Late night, went a little bit over. Not too bad, but thank you, Jody. Thank you, Albert. Appreciate you guys for being here every single week.
Thank you.
And man, if I don't talk to you before next week, which I'm sure I will, I certainly will see you. Until then, we'll round it all up next week, guys. We're going to get out of here. Good night.